We're in front of the Israeli embassy, the country that stole 400 to 600 pounds of weapons-grade uranium in the early 1960s. 600 pounds of weapons-grade uranium is enough to make multiple nuclear warheads, and currently Israel has, since 1978, these nuclear warheads that are made of the stolen weapons-grade uranium. So it's been a long anticipated wait to come here, but the main terrorist country in the world has got their embassy in DC right behind me. As a former Marine Corps, as a former active duty member of the Marine Corps, and as a veteran in Afghanistan, I'd like to say that I do not take kindly to a country being allowed to have an embassy here if they haven't returned strategic nuclear resources that they've stolen from this country. So my grandfather used to run the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, which is a nuclear submarine maintenance facility, and many nuclear submarines carrying strategic and tactical nuclear warheads are housed there. Now, if he had found out about this incident, he probably would not have been a big fan of Israel, but unfortunately he's already passed on, so I can't tell him about it. Now, everybody knows about the New incident in our military. Defense contractors are warned not to talk to Israelis, and they're not allowed to visit Israel, because Israel not only spies on us constantly, but they also constantly provide intelligence that they've stolen from us to our competing neighbors. For example, they created all sorts of intelligent leaks to the Soviet Union in the 1980s that led to the compromising under Pollard of many of our assets throughout the world. So this is a terrorist country that committed the USS Liberty attack on us in 1967 in June, where over 200 casualties of the US naval vessel suffered cannon fire, machine gun fire, rockets and torpedoes. And the Israeli Jews strafed the life rafts when they were lowered into the sea, meaning that was a violation of the Geneva Convention. This is a war crime, punishable by death in international criminal court. So the interesting thing here is that our news media is completely controlled by Zionists. So Zucker is a Zionist Jew. Fox News is controlled by the Orthodox Jewish, Murdoch family. So MSNBC, NBC, you go right down the list, Zionist Jews that provide falsified intelligence reports to this country to drag us into wars like the Iraq War. Now, the interesting thing here is that you may have many people on the left in this country that, they say they feel bad for the Palestinians, the people that are suffering a genocide at the hands of the Jewish supremacists in Israel, but they don't talk about the crimes that Israel has committed against this country. If you know about the crimes against the Palestinians, you should also know about the crimes against Americans, including the over 200 casualties that were suffered on board the USS Liberty at the hands of Israeli Jewish pilots and later Israeli Jewish seamen, with torpedo boats that ripped a huge hole in the side of the USS Liberty below the waterline. Now, 600 pounds of weapons-grade uranium, you might ask. Stealing these resources might make a little bit of a mess. Well, it did. There's currently a Superfund site in Pennsylvania where this amount of strategic nuclear resources was stolen from this country in such a sloppy fashion that they polluted the surrounding countryside so badly that it's uninhabitable. It's now a Superfund site, a spot that is designated for cleanup at a later date, at the cost of billions of dollars to the U.S. taxpayers. So, if I were to win the election, I would first of all use the War Emergency Powers Act that the Constitution and the Congress has granted the President in the past, and send in a task force to restore possession of the strategic nuclear resources that have been stolen by this terrorist country. I would also force the Israelis to recognize the Lavon Affair, which is a terrorist attack where they planted IEDs in morale, wellness, and readiness facilities, MWR facilities in Egypt, and U.S. military bases, trying to kill U.S. servicemen and their families. Luckily, we detected the bombs before anyone was hurt after one went off prematurely, and unfortunately, the Israelis were never brought to justice. They were turned over to the Israeli embassy. None of them were ever punished, and the survivors of this terrorist attack on U.S. military bases were lauded as heroes when they returned to Israel. So, I just want to remind you that the only people who were arrested after 9/11 in this country had a nationality that was foreign, and those were Israeli Jews. Whether you're thinking of the trucks on the bridges that have explosive residues on them, or you're thinking about the dancing Israelis, the only people arrested and detained with foreign nationality after 9/11 were Israeli Jews. So, I'll be coming at you live for more stops here in the United States later. Sir, would you like to talk about the 600 pounds of weapons-grade uranium that was stolen from Would you like to discuss perhaps the dozens of illegal nuclear warheads that the terrorist rogue nation of Israel now possesses as a result of this theft? Perhaps the billions of dollars it's going to cost U.S. taxpayers to clean up this Superfund site that is now polluted with weapons-grade uranium. Oh, good afternoon, sir. How do you like serving a foreign government that stole strategic nuclear resources from the United States? Do you feel any shame when you do? Well, I guess there's no shame. That part of the brain's missing in Jews, apparently. But we've got a lot more ground to cover today, so we're going to head on over to some other sites in D.C. and we're going to name the Jew there. This is Patrick Little, your presidential candidate, running in 2020. Be sure to check that box next to my name during the Democratic primary in 2020. Have a good day, folks. Actually, we're going to go back to the car with the camera on just to be safe. So the camera's on. Afternoon, sir. Don't forget to look up the USS Liberty or the New Mexico facility incident in the 1960s.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right. Good.
Good. You have a fucking fan from Mossad.
I want to call it a day with the streamer. No, keep it going. Keep it going, okay. Honk if you want your 600 pounds of weapons-grade uranium back from Israel. Button pressed across the street here.
No. Across that street.
Well, we announced we were coming and no anti-bomb. Surprise. Looks like you got some support there. A little force. Have a good day.